There's a Hasidic story. The Rebbe was traveling and stopped at an inn for dinner. And as he was sitting at his table, he overheard the conversation of another pair at a table nearby. And one man said to the other, "My friend, we have been friends for so long. Do you love me?" And the other friend said, of course I love you." And the first man said, "Do you know what hurts me?" And his friend was silent. And the first man said, "How can you love me if you don't know what hurts me?" We talk about love your neighbor as yourself. It's a pretty core principle of Jewishness. But the story points to a question about love your neighbor as yourself that is a challenging question. Can I love my neighbor if I don't know what hurts my neighbor? And can I say that I know my neighbor if I don't know what hurts him or her? And can I say I love my neighbor when I don't know my neighbor's name? Now, I have freely admitted for many, many years that I am bad at names. I may meet you 3 or 4 times, maybe even 5, before I remember your name. But it may not be that is what it means to know the name of another. It may not mean that we have to remember you're Jane and you're John. But rather, it may mean that we have to remember who you are in a much deeper way. And that the name is only the symbol of that. This week's Torah portion is called Shemot, names. And at the beginning of the Torah portion, we read, "These are the names of the sons of Israel who came to Egypt with Jacob, each coming with his household, Reuben, Simeon, Levi, and Judah," and on and on. And then just one paragraph later, we read, "A new king arose over Egypt who did not know Joseph." Well, how could he know Joseph? Joseph had been dead for a generation. And that king said to his people, "Look, the Israelite people are much too numerous for us. Let us deal shrewdly with them." With them. Them. And I'm struck on this Shabbat Shemot, this Shabbat of names, which happens also to fall on the same Shabbat as the commemoration of the birth and the life and the work of Martin Luther King Jr. By the idea that it is so easy to love someone whose name we know, and so much more difficult to hate someone whose name we really know. And so easy to hate or to disregard a them whose names we do not know. These 2 weeks in our congregation, we are presented by the Immigration Task Force of BHC Justice with the opportunity to learn the names of stories, the names of families and the stories of families, of people who are not of them, but who too often are grouped as a them. immigrants to this country. As we walk down the hallway on the left in the lobby of the Dalsheimer Auditorium and then further on down the hallway, you will see an exhibit called Building Bridges, a family diversity project. And under each picture of faces whose names you won't know, there is a paragraph which includes names in some cases, but more importantly includes the story of the family. A way to know not just the name of someone who you might never meet, whose name you might not remember, but a way to know perhaps what hurts those people. What is at the core of their being, and if we were to commit to the idea of loving our neighbor as ourselves, what might we need to know about our neighbor? The movement in this week's Torah portion from knowing the names of us, the Jewish people, to us being a them, is the beginning of our people's story of oppression, of slavery, of degradation, and unpeopleness. On this Shabbat, let's remember that we are taught again and again and again in our tradition to remember this story, not so that we can feel righteous in our own othering of others, but instead so that we remember how important it is to love our neighbor as ourselves, to know our neighbor as we would know ourselves. Shabbat Shalom.